Top 10 most expensive watches in the world. We need to understand 3 quick terms that are important in watchmaking. Knowing these will set you apart as a discerning watch appreciator. Firstly, all high-end watches are mechanical. There are no batteries in them, they operate purely by a perfectly balanced spring creating the movement these are wound by, turning a small crown. That sticks out the side of the watch. The more expensive watches need to be wound once a day. Secondly, watches have complications. Complication is a function of the face of the watch other than telling time on. Top of watch models, these can be perpetual calendars, moon phases, planetary dials, or sunrise and sunset. These are all driven by carefully crafted and calculated mechanical innards. There's no computers in these watches. Lastly, there are 2 important complications that are most sought after with watch collectors. These will be referred to a lot on our list. Turbo is one of the most complicated mechanisms in horology. It reduces the negative effect that gravity has on timekeeping by balancing the balance wheel as the watch moves. The more advanced the watch, the more axes at or beyond rotates, on the highest being 3 axes to offer perfect balance, but the repeater complication is what sets watches apart. It's a complicated and a precise piece of watchmaking engineering. The repeater allows a watch to chime the time either on demand or at a set interval in a time before electricity. This was extremely useful for knowing the time in the dark. Put Alexis before our time gets away from us. Let's work our way down the list of the most expensive watches. Number 10, Vash Roll, $57.68 million. Vash Roll Call Santa, $57 to $168 million. This timepiece isn't just gorgeous to look at with a perfectly crafted white gold case. It's also from the house of the world's oldest watchmaker, Vacheron Constantin. The 57 to 160 is also the most complex watch ever built. It contains 28 components that offer 57 distinctly available complications. For its $8 million price tag, you can enjoy a perpetual calendar and a double-second retrograde chronographer, just to name 2 complications. Number 9, Patek Phillipe, $1 million sign. Patek Phillipe Ref 15, 1811.1 million dollars, taking a $3 million leap on the list brings us to the Patek Phillipe Ref 1518. This piece was introduced in 1941 and remains the only perpetual Patek Phillipe with a calendar split second chronograph made of steel. The Ref 1518 brought with it a new season in watchmaking for Patek Phillipe, who had been making watches since 1839. They remain one of the most expensive and luxurious watch brands in the world. King Farouk X, ruler of Egypt, was a famous owner of a Raf 1518. He had the watch in 18-karat white gold, but timing is everything, so more on this model later. Keep watching to see how much this timepiece sold for in a charity auction in Geneva at Christie's. It came in at number 9 on the list, but is a real winner at the end of the day. Number 8, Paul Newman Rolex Daytona, $6 million sign. Paul Newman Rolex Daytona. Paul Newman Rolex Daytona, $17.6 million. When most people think of expensive watches, Rolex often comes to mind, but this is actually the only Rolex that made our top 10 list of expensive watches, and the main value is because of who wore it. Paul Newman was once one of the biggest movie star celebrities in the world. While he was shooting the film Winning, his wife and famous actress Joanne Woodward gave him the 1986 Rolex Daytona on October 26, 2017. Paul Newman's winning streak continued when his famous Rolex was auctioned at Phillipe's auction house in New York. The bidding opened with an offer of $1 million, and 12 minutes later the gavel went down on a winning bid of $17,752,500. The buyer was an anonymous phone bidder. The sale set a new record for the highest price ever achieved for a wristwatch at auction. Number 7, Jacob & Co. Billionaire, $18 million sign. Jacob & Co. Billionaire watch, $18 million. Now comes the real frosting. The Billionaire watch is decorated with 260-karat emerald-cut diamonds. They are arranged in an inverse pyramid style setting with a bold cut enhancing the natural sparkle of the stones. This is complemented by an 18-karat white gold case. The perfectly crafted interior includes an escapement of tourbillon to compensate for each wrist movement to keep the time so precise, right down to a fraction of a hair. Number 6, Patek Phillipe, $24 million sign. Patek Phillipe Henry Graves Super Complication, $24 million. This pocket watch was thanks to banker Henry Graves Jr., a watch lover who commissioned it to outshine the grand complication pocket watch of American automaker James Ward Packard. The competition was fierce, but for $24 million he managed to procure a personalized timepiece with 24 Complications. It included a celestial chart based on the night sky from Graves' home in New York City. It also included a minute repeater with Westminster chimes. It had a perpetual calendar and sunrise and sunset times. And how Alexis, if you enjoy luxury brands like Patek Phillipe, you'll love finding out about Montblanc. Be sure to watch our video all about them by clicking in the top right corner. Number 5 carat watch, 25 million. Chopard 201 carat watch, $25 million. What do you get if you add 15 carat pink diamonds, 12 carat blue diamonds, 11 carat white diamonds, and 163 carats of white and yellow diamonds to a watch other than a tired wrist? You'd get the second most expensive wristwatch for women. It's definitely a spectacle to behold, mirroring the sun right down to its diamond didn't crust face. Number 4 jayjay Okocha, $26 million. Sign jayjay Okocha. Joe Hockey 101 man chat, $26 million. Another glittering wonder is the 576 diamond and sapphire enriched Joey Aviv 101 man chat. It's a wristwatch fit for a queen, and that's exactly who it was created for her to celebrate her 60th anniversary. Queen Elizabeth received this $26 million gift from Michelle Okocha. It replicates the original that she wore on her coronation tape that was gifted to her by the French president. It's unknown where that watch is located. The assembly of this watch, made by jayjay, is so specialized that only 3 people know how to do it, and the watch weighs less than a gram. The design is made up of rows of interlocking squares which make it look like a frosted bracelet. It has a gray dial and a silver winding crown. The black sapphires give it a striking geometric contrast. The wow factor is inconceivable, but the how factor is unfathomable. Number 3 leg, $30 million. A leg. Number 160, $30 million. The flag. Number 160 is a clockwork poem. The first verse of the beautiful pocket watch is a design in gold. The second verse, its intricate complications, a masterpiece, including every function invented at the time, such as a perpetual calendar, a thermometer, and a repeat chime. The last verse, the time it took to complete 45 years of toil by Abraham Louis Breguet, who started it in 1782 as a commissioned by Queen Marie Antoinette's lover. Tragically, it was not completed before revolutionaries put Marie Antoinette to death on top of its tumultuous past and tough recent history in 1983 when it was on display at a museum in Jerusalem. The watch was stolen. Luckily, it was recovered and is now back on display at the La Meir Museum in Jerusalem. Number 2 Graf diamonds, $40 million. Graf diamonds, the fascination, $40 million. Everyone loves a 2-for-1 deal. Apparently, even those in the market for the most expensive watches in the world. For $40 million, you get the option of a ring and a watch. What this piece is made of 150 carats of white diamonds, and the piece there is. This sells as a 38 carat pear-shaped diamond in the center. The center diamond is a removable component, which can be detached to be worn as a ring. The concept behind it was to show the results of the partnership between Graf's London-based diamond house and its Swiss watchmaking atelier. Although a pear-shaped diamond cut might seem a bit passé in current trend, owning the second most expensive watch in the world will never go out of fashion. Number 1 Graf diamonds, $55 million. Sign Graf diamonds, hallucination, $55 million. It's hard to imagine just how much frosting $55 million can get you on a watch, but the hallucination makes the picture a whole lot clearer. This showstopper holds 110 carats of rare colored diamonds in a mosaic of different cuts and finishes. Embedded in the watch's strap, the layout is meticulously shaped to create a spectacular masterpiece that is bold and bright, with a face encrusted with expertly laid pink diamonds. The hallucination is a statement piece that has changed the face of watchmaking. It combines the rarest colors of diamonds, like the fancy light gray blue, fancy vivid yellow, fancy intense pink, fancy orange, fancy green, and fancy intense blue. These are all laid outside by side in various cuts, from hair, marquette, emerald, sparkling, and heart style, along with traditional round cuts. In 2020, it was valued at $55 million, topping our list of the most expensive watches in the world. And